Welcome back to It Ain't Rocket Science. I'm Adam Balkin. With extreme weather patterns seemingly becoming more the norm than the exception, meteorology has become, dare we say, a hot career field. We got the chance to talk with a pair of meteorologists to learn a little more about what they do and how they got to do what they do. It's not always an easy job. Predicting the weather can come with a lot of pressure.
Meteorology is important from that family picnic, energy prices, commodity prices, whether or not to launch a spaceship. So there's a lot of industries, a lot of things in our daily lives that are impacted by a good forecast.
The hardest part of meteorology is when you've got two weather models and they don't agree, and you have to guess, or you have to decide and use your expertise to decide which weather model is right about the storm. So it's a very anxious feeling when you've got a large weather system coming your way.
Mike Goldrick and John Davitt are meteorologists for Time Warner Cable's local news channels. They say there are a lot of misconceptions about their jobs, especially when it comes to accuracy.
A lot of people think that we know what the weather is all the time, but it's an evolving science.
There are a number of different types of science and math involved in meteorology, but Michael says you really need a good understanding of how the atmosphere works.
The atmosphere being made up of gases, nitrogen and oxygen and a whole bunch of other little smaller trace elements, it acts a lot like a fluid, like water. Now the science behind that would be fluid dynamics, and trying to predict what the atmosphere is going to do, it's a lot like taking a cup of ink and stirring up a swimming pool, getting that water going all over the place, throwing that cup of ink in there and trying to predict exactly where the ink will go.
John says for those interested in the field, maybe time to confront their fear of the sciences.
You really need to work with physics, and you need to work with high-level math, so calculus, differential equations, so a lot of math and a lot of science. And for me that was tough because when I was in high school I was awful in math and science. I really struggled in math when I was in college. Some of the courses I had to take twice, but you know, if you really have something you love, it's worth working for.
And while future forecasts may be unpredictable, Michael says the future for meteorology is bright.
Certainly seems to be a lot more extreme events that have been happening over the past several years. Now, whether that is a direct impact of climate change, whether climate change is actually occurring or not, it definitely will be good for people who want to get into the meteorology field.
And there are more opportunities than what you see on TV. Meteorologists can be found in airports, the stock exchange, and even on occasion, testifying in courtrooms. So if you have a passion for the weather, there's definitely a place for you. While John and Mike do their best to inform people about weather patterns and potentially hazardous storms, some teams are using science, technology, engineering, and math to safeguard the nation's coastlines and prepare for the increasingly powerful storms that accompany climate change. Students in the Nature Conservancy's LEAF internship program are getting their feet wet in restoration projects across the country. Our Rocco Vituccio has the story.
These students are researching the importance of coastal marshes and oyster reefs, and they're doing their part in replanting and restoring these natural barriers. It's all part of the Nature Conservancy's Leaders in Environmental Action for the Future program, or LEAF. It's a paid internship for high schoolers interested in pursuing a career in the environmental sciences. Students like Cleo spend their summer learning about the effect they can have on the future.
Just being able to see how important the coast was and is to us today, just being able to bring that knowledge back to the city, I think that's something that's incredibly important, and it really inspired me to keep working with the reefs, keep working with live coastal lines and things like that.
Bill Alfelder of the New York Nature Conservancy says educating these future scientists is key in preparing for future natural disasters as climate change threatens coastal populations.
What we're going to see more and more of is flooding in low areas, and some of that flooding will be caused by storm and tidal surges like what we saw in Hurricane Sandy, and sometimes that will be caused by big precipitation events like Hurricane Irene. So how do we prepare ourselves for that? And then how do we use wetlands and dunes and parks and green roofs as part of the solution to make our city more resilient in the face of a changing climate? As kids learn more, they can get involved, and whether that's things like getting involved in restoring oyster beds, looking after a park, or planting trees in their own neighborhood, or even just working on a green roof that might grow food, but actually capture rainwater in a big event. Those are all things that kids can start doing, right through their own family, their building, their community, and get involved and become leaders.
These lessons emphasizing renewable resources are not lost on those who might become future conservationists.
For me personally, just being able to leave the city, I was inspired as a young person to go out and do these certain things. So being able to have that knowledge and come back to the city, we're building leaders for the next generation.
For It Ain't Rocket Science, I'm Rocco Vertuccio.
Interns in the LEAF program aren't the only ones cultivating eco-friendly advances. Students at the Bronx Design and Construction Academy are using their school's green roof to cultivate a better understanding of the sciences. Our Erin Clark has the story.
Noel Cruz dreams of cars, not race cars, but green cars.
I have a dream of making my own company of cars and planes, but with the idea of sustainability in mind, because that's the new way to go, green.
But there's a seed to every great engineer's success, and for Noel and his classmates at the Bronx Design and Construction Academy, they have a head start when it comes to sustainable engineering.
We're just finding new ways of sustainability, and a lot of this has to do with the green roof that we have outside.
They're working with the American Society of Mechanical Engineers to learn more about how solar panels and green roofs work.
When it rains, the green roof absorbs some of the rainfall, so that way not that much water goes in or can cause floods from the sewer system. So I think, in my perspective, if the New York would have had green roofs when Sandy occurred, that the sewage floods would have been way less and way less things would have occurred.
You're learning something that is actually going to be used, and it's the new step towards life. And as we can see in this era that we have now, it's more of a green account. Everything's more environmentally friendly.
And that's what educators say is the goal of the program.
They're going to be solving our world's problems, so to provide example projects that are innovative and sustainable and things that they can use, skills they can learn to transfer into future projects, I think is really invaluable.
There are 3 or 4 million STEM jobs available, but whether it's the jobs that these kids are going to find, and we're glad that they seem to know what a flexible and rewarding career path engineering can be, or it's the solutions that they find by making sustainable and efficient energy systems. This is the future, and it's the future for all of us, not just in the city, but all over.
And these students hope the teamwork and science skills they learn here can help give them a competitive edge in the future. For It Ain't Rocket Science, I'm Erin Clark.
Well, that does it for this edition of It Ain't Rocket Science. I'm Adam Balk, and remember, to find out more about Time Warner Cable's Connect a Million Minds initiative, or to learn about science, technology, engineering, and math opportunities in your neighborhood, check out www.connectamillionminds.com. Until next time, it's been a blast.